Welcome to the Brewtiful Game. As always, I am Blake here with Ferris.
Hola.
And Ron.
What's happening?
It's a late evening as we sit down to talk some smooth jazz and funky soccer with some good beer this evening. It's a late one, gents. We got Ron back in the country in the same time zone. We're doing a late episode. I love it.
Yeah, I feel like we're doing an episode of Loveline. You guys remember that?
Oh my
Adam
gosh!
Carolla?
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
Whoa!
I forgot. Oh yeah.
Well, that's a throwback in the Wayback Machine. I know. I was getting ready to like yell it out. I was like, well, 11:20. My kid is asleep across the hall. Perhaps I should intro this a little quieter. But hey, we're making it happen because we got some. Well, obviously we have soccer news to talk about. Things have been happening in the Premier League. Bets are, coming into focus. We'll get into that.
Parity that it's right time before going into international.
And Chelsea's still at the top of the table.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. But anyway, Ferris and I don't want to talk about it.
Trust the process, my friend. Trust the process.
But yes, the process is get a Russian oligarch to buy whatever coach you want. That's right. That is the process.
Pretty much.
Better than a Bond villain in Arteta.
Or Gollum, right? Is that what you call?
Can't find the top of the table with a roadmap and a guide.
Okay. Well, we're creeping up, so I'll just mark that down as what Ron said today. Is he eats his words later? There we are.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, keep going, buddy. That did not work for Ferris. I would like you to make a bet too, and then we can keep
I'm
this
not
rolling.
dumb enough to make a bet.
Believe me, I am. I make tons of dumb bets.
If you search back through the 155 different episodes that we have, find one that I made a bet in.
Well, and just to be clear, the bet we are referring to is 4 weeks now ago. When was this?
It was right after the. Well, hold on. Was it the first international break or the second international break?
It was Arsenal had lost to Man City.
I think it was right before the last international break.
Well, yeah, it was. It was before the last because that was the big change. That was when things changed to Arsenal. So the new signings had occurred, and the bet was that I said that Arteta. Well, actually, you threw the bet out saying that Arteta would get canned before Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would. Yeah. And you bet drinking a disgusting Blue Thunder, which, just so you know, I'm on the hunt for. They seem to have trouble distributing that in Florida. Perhaps word of our reviews have gotten out.
Don't worry, you have a snapper, which is the next worst.
I do have a red snapper, but I feel like it's not bad enough. So I'm on the hunt. Don't worry. I'm on the hunt.
And also if you're new, you haven't really listened to us that much. The beers in question are two beers from Butternuts Brewing in Garrettsville, New York.
To be fair, the only beers that we've really had bad reviews for, I think the worst we've had has been like, no, this is kind of okay. You had like a funky one in China.
Yeah.
But those were brutal.
And don't forget Cookie Puss. That was pretty terrible.
Yeah, it was terrible.
But it wasn't on that level. At least that was like a better made terrible.
It was more novelty weird, a beer based on Cookie Puss, than it was like the wrong flavors and a beer, not just bad. The Red Snapper still made me angry, though, because it was called an IPA, and it is not.
You were furious.
It was a farmhouse IPA.
Oh, my God. And
their beers are farmhouse something.
Farmhouse stout.
We've had their pork slap pig beer. God, that was terrible. And then the Blue Thunder.
It was like drinking lard.
So, although to be honest, I mean, I think, I feel like Ferris helped somehow. So I just want him to make more bets. Because that was a big turnaround for the international break. We'll see what happens. But if you know what, I'm getting ahead of ourselves because we want to talk about we always kick the show off with a little bit of what we're drinking around the horn here before we get into the Premier League. But it's so hard not to get to the Premier League topics at hand.
Yeah. Vortex.
It's the vortex. So who would like to kick off with their beer?
Well, I think we will. And I say we will because due to some circumstances, Ron is over at the Brewtiful Games neighborhood bar tonight at the Ferris establishment. We open early and we stay late, obviously. So we're actually going to have the same beer.
Excellent.
I didn't have a whole lot of the same beers. I have a lot of random beers from all over the state of Florida and breweries doing various beer exchanges at the tap room and that sort of thing. But I did have 2 beers in a style that Ron actually liked, not a sour or anything. But I do have some good sours for you, Blake, that I want you to try.
Yeah.
Where's the puke sound on there?
But the beer that we are having is, as you probably guessed, a Big Storm Brewing beer. But one of our most popular IPAs. It is a limited release. And every time we got it on in the tap room, we only kept it kegged for a few weeks and it was gone. We finally brought back some cans. So it's kind of a rarity, and it's a part of a series. It's called Hurricane Hunter Series. And it is an IPA series done in collaboration with Mike's Weather Page. I don't know if you've ever heard or seen of that on YouTube, but it's done with him. And this one is Hurricane Hunter New Zealand IPA. And it has his dog on the cover of it. The label. Yep, sorry. And it is a 7.5% New Zealand IPA. As you guess, New Zealand grown hops, smooth, mellow bitterness, but a lovely, pleasant, very mellow, like white grape, melon, and tropical fruit taste to it. It is very, very good. So Ron and I will be indulging in that this evening at the Brewtiful Games neighborhood bar.
Sweet. Well, can you tell us about my beer, Ferris?
Sure.
Because I'm going to have what you gave me. I figured this would make sense. I'll throw it in the spot. It is the Once More Into the Breach from Tactical Brewing here in Orlando. It is a double New England IPA, double dry hopped with cryo pop blend.
Ooh,
do you have any info on this or about Tactical Brewing? Because I know you've been there a bunch.
Yes. I'll tell you what, Tactical, and there's 3 breweries in the area. If I had to rank them, that is without question one of the top 3s. It's probably my second favorite brewery in this area. Good group, all Afghanistan and Iraq vets that started this brewery. They do a lot in the community. They do some cool things, and they really do not make a bad beer. If you're ever in the area, it's not too far from downtown. I can't fully. What did you say that one was? Because it was a limited release. Cans only.
Into the Breach. Well, I do. It's Once More into. I do have some info on it. I just didn't know if you had anything since you had brought this as a gift to dropped off at my house. So
because this was one that I had picked up.
Well, here's the thing. There's a gentleman on the cover, kind of almost looking like Napoleonic, or on the label, like kind of military. He got a sword and he's on a horse run. I don't know if you can see this, yep. But it's a pretty cool label. There you go. So here's the deal from their Facebook post about releasing this. Yes. Once More Into the Breach, double New England IPA with cryo pop hop blend. This blend is insane and lends strong notes of peach, mango, orange, and pineapple, amongst others. Releasing this Friday. That was back in July. So here, check this out. I don't know if you knew this about the beer, Ferris. Happy birthday to the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Kevin Dog lives above the brewery and loves him some base lager. He's been a huge supporter of Tactical since the beginning, and it's always brightens everyone's day when he walks through the doors. For his 74th birthday, we took him skydiving, and this year we are all getting inked up together. He doesn't know we put his face on the beer release yet, so please don't hate us, Kevin.
Oh,
I do remember that. I do remember that now. That's what I was trying to find.
How
on their
cool
post.
is that?
That's exactly what I was trying to find. That's funny.
Yeah. So thanks for bringing this, Ferris, and I'm excited to try this peach, mango, orange, and pineapple notes.
That's a beer. It's going to be 8%.
Yeah, I realize that as I'm looking at it right now too.
Like, we're at 7.5%, but we're both doing versions of an IPA.
Sweet. Shall we, gents?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Be rude if we don't.
Oh my gosh, the aroma. It's like a citrus farm in my room, which is good because if you listen to the last episode, prior to this, my room smelled like Baijiu, that Chinese rice liquor that Ron brought over. The room still kind of smelled of that.
You're welcome.
And I apologize
by the way,
to anyone.
How was everybody's stomach the day after?
I think anybody that was unfortunate enough to listen to the previous episode and heard me uncontrollably belching in that episode knows that it wasn't great. I think
the next day, it can be a little rough if you're not.
You know what really sucks? Ron walking back in here in the morning and getting hit with the wave of the smell of it in the shot glasses. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, that does not sound good. I actually wasn't too shabby. I in my elder years have known that can't quite eat the and drink the same thing that I used to be able to, and just kind of have an iron stomach. So it wasn't really too different. It was more par for the course. So I wasn't too bad.
I was pretty fine. I'm kind of used to it.
You were used to it.
Yeah, I know, right?
All right, gents.
Well, you or your towels used to it.
That's true.
I drank every drop that night.
Yes, you did.
You did. Woof.
Yes, you did.
All right, cheers, gents. I'm going to see what this tastes like. It smells amazing.
Cheers.
Ferris, wow, you brought a mouthful of a beer here. Whoa.
They make good. Man, there's not a bad thing.
Man.
They do sours extremely well. I may or may not have one for you. It's called Keanu Tumble Reeves, and it is a fantastic sour.
Well, I still haven't had the other one you brought me, which I'm excited for. It's Untapped with the Admiral Akbar on it from Star Wars or Return of the Jedi.
Yep. Yeah. And then I had not too long ago. I think I untapped this was the butterbeer sour that they had when they did this like Harry Potter night at the brewery. And it was basically a alcoholic tasting butter beer sour. It was fantastic. It wasn't too buttery. It wasn't. I mean, so they do some really, really good stuff.
Ron's noises are the best.
I just can't handle sour.
It's something. They are a very well respected brewery in this area.
Dude, they're everything I've had from them has been great. So yeah, well, Ron's back, so we need to go ahead and do some of the local breweries he really maybe hasn't been to as a crew.
There's a bunch.
Yeah.
It's crazy how many breweries popped up in this town in 2 years.
Hey, gents, by the way, to make you feel old in the passage of time, I'm drinking from our vintage Russia 2018 FIFA World Cup glass.
There you are.
Wow, that was like 12 years ago.
Yeah, we're about to have another one of these bad boys coming around the corner.
It's going to be what? It's Qatar 2022 was played in 2020.
No, it's December,
2022
right?
Taking place next November or December and carrying to January or something.
Yep. So, look, we just care about the sticker book. What was that thing called again? What's the sticker book?
Oh, Panini.
Panini. Yeah.
That was so fun.
I'm just ready for the sticker book again.
Yep.
All right, gents, shall we move on to the soccer?
Soccer.
We certainly shall.
All right. Well, we're going to hit our top 4 headlines. Whipping around the Premier League. Man, I said whipping around the. It makes me sound like just a D-bag from a sports show, and I hate that I said the phrase.
Some like cheesy sound effects, like
yeah, wow, whipping around the league. We'll wait. We'll wait since the ESPN just made their official bid for the Premier League. The Premier League is supposed to have an answer by Thursday or sooner.
They already have La Liga, which they're like, oh, please, we need something to redeem ourselves.
Yep. No, but
no Ronaldo.
They got
Messi.
a lot of money. They do already own everything else over at
the Bundesliga as well is on there, and the MLS. There's a lot of games on there as well.
We'll see.
Yep.
Well, man, Ferris he's the guy, if you're not familiar in the show, that always puts together the content, and he just went out the gate. I think you went out the gate with this one in case we had to cut the next 3 because we spend all our time talking about this, which is probably smarter than putting it at the end. Continued misery for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Man United as Manchester City dominated, befuddled, besmirched, and destroyed at Old Trafford, winning 2-0. That's now 7-0 against United at home against their 2 biggest rivals, prior to that being their loss against Liverpool.
5-0.
5-0.
It's just embarrassed.
So I don't even want to be mean right now. I want to win the bet, but I don't want you to cry.
I'll be mean. How about that? This game was almost worse than the 5-0.
Yeah, because there was no fight in it.
Well, and reason being is I think I won't necessarily go tactics here, but what I'll go is the mentality was, oh shit, we can't get beat 5-0 again at home like we did 2 weeks back. So let's go into the game with that in our mind, not with the we can win this, we will win this at home, and let's redeem ourselves.
I agree. I agree with that.
Kind of win across the team. And you can sit there and rationalize it as, okay, it was an own goal for the first goal. Unfortunate. As a defender, that happened. Or it's not Bailly's fault. I think he's played well in the absence of Varane. And, you know, they went with the back five again, which they call it a back three, but it's really a back five.
It's a back five.
It's especially in this because Man City did a fantastic job of pinning the wing backs of United back with Shaw and Bissaka. So there was tons of times where you saw a back five in a line. Now, unlike Liverpool, where the line was like an EKG chart, this was more of a dead line. So that's kind of how they played. Was that it was just dead because City were on them from the start, and it was line share of the possession, minimal touches, if any, in the first half in their own side of things. I think one shot on target the entire game, first time that's happened in like 18 some years, and it was a dominating performance. What Pep did was he went, hey, I know exactly what they're going to do because they're so predictable. What they did was they changed it up from Liverpool, and with Tottenham, went with the back five, and it worked great. And yes, it did. The back five did work great, but you're missing key elements to that same thing. One of which being Raphael Varane.
Can I ask something? Because forgive me, because time is mushing together in my brain a little bit. Is the Man City match prior to or after Ronaldo had to basically save the day again in the Champions League?
After.
That was after. So in the in-between, there was another bad Champions League performance that literally one player is keeping Man United afloat in.
In Champions League, yes.
Yeah, in Champions League, that's what I'm saying. So in between those two matches even, and that was to get a draw out, right? So if the idea was this team on paper is so good, you add a guy like Cristiano Ronaldo, is this going to kick us over to win the league? And instead, it's, well, if you didn't have Cristiano Ronaldo, you would be mid-table and probably out of the Champions League already.
Oh, yeah. And I think Varane's just as big as a signing there where he got injured in that Champions League game, and that was a bit of a blow. I think Bailly came in, he played very well. As well, actually, Lindelof was hurt, so they switched to a back four once he got hurt in the Champions League. But yeah, you're right. It's after Liverpool, there was this thing that came out in reports that it was a 3 games to basically save his job, and he won one, drew one, and lost one. So not the worst, but the style of play, Tottenham was better, not great, but better. You saw what Tottenham was about, and we'll kind of get here in a bit about. They've already made themselves a managerial change.
Yeah, basically, our news is all revolving around managers, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
And the revolving door of managers throughout the soccer world is really what's going on.
Yeah. Right. As the world turns.
What you did was, this back five works. Let's just stick with it. It worked once. We can do that against any team. Came out and tried that against Atalanta, and they were all over us. Good on United staying true, and good on, Ronaldo, and threw on some subs, and we got a result, and we moved from at one point last in the table to top of the table as we currently speak. So that's good. You go into this match, and Pep probably sat there with a nice port wine and a cigar, and probably just enjoyed you on Netflix for the night, or whatever popular Squid Game or something. because he didn't have to plan that.
Squid
hard.
Game. Pep watching Squid Game. That I don't know why is hysterical to me. But that's funny.
I say that because I will send you guys both a picture that's very funny. You know the part where in Squid Game, the first game where a gentleman is holding up the other gentleman because it's stop and go.
Yep.
There's a picture that was going around the internet of Ronaldo holding up Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
That's brilliant.
It's good. But so what Pep did, my point being, Pep didn't have to think that hard on this one, right? Hey, they're going to play a back five. They're going to put Fred and McTominay in the center. They'll put Bruno just above him. Bruno won't track back that much. I think he works hard, but he won't be too much of an issue. We know kind of what Ronaldo does. Watch for the counter, and maybe Greenwood will get on a break, and that's about it. So let's pin them back. Let's not allow Bissaka and Shaw to get up and cause havoc. Let's pin them. Let's not allow them to pin us. It was pressure from the start. It was a very, very strategic, well thought out game plan that showed the gap of managerial talent between Ole and Pep.
It also looked like Manchester United was just completely surprised that they were going to get pressure from Man City. Within the opening 3 minutes, you could just watch the air come right out of Manchester United. It was insane.
And can we just talk about the fact that when it was Man U versus Tottenham a few weeks back, this would have been prior to just post the Liverpool game? Yes, right?
Yeah.
So that's the match of the Liverpool game. And I think I may have even said something about this. Like, I was torn because, as an Arsenal fan, I want Liverpool to, I want Tottenham to get no points, but I kind of was like, maybe what I need is these two to draw, really. But instead, you win 3-0, right? 3?
Yes.
And it's the worst thing you could have done because all it did was ensure, well, just like always, bad game, then a good game. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer limps on. And then Tottenham cans their coach and brings in Antonio Conte. And though they sit at 9th, I would argue with that coach, they will be There's an excellent chance they could knock Man United out of being in Europe as the season ends, even if it's just squeezing into a 6th place or something. It's like Conte would have been an excellent fit to the talent that isn't Man United. And at this point, if you get rid of Ole, I know we're going to get to Conte a little bit, but he doesn't stay somewhere very long, right? So I say that saying not a permanent, but he stays for 3 years, kind of what he does. But because now you are at who then?
Well, for me, I can answer that on who I think. A name that's probably not out there as a big name, but a name that would get this group of playing a style that is attractive to what Old Trafford's been like, in a defensive, sturdy at the back, but exciting going forward, right? No, that's the perfect.
That's how I like my women.
Exactly. But Erik ten Hag, you ask who is he? He is the current manager of Ajax.
Okay.
And you look what Ajax has done in the past few Champions League, and it have taken it to the Barças of the world, Chelsea's of the world, the Liverpools of the world. Didn't they knock Liverpool out last year, if I'm not mistaken? And that would be a wonderful signing for them. A Dutch-born, obviously former player, but I think that would be a name that would help bring the style of play at least.
Hey,
back.
buddy. Maybe Unai Emery turned down Newcastle so that he can pick up Man United.
Oh my God. That'd be great. How about Frank Lampard?
Yeah, well,
I
that
love
ain't
Frankie,
happening.
but no.
That's
TBG?
not happening.
Oh my God, he would never. And they would,
but this is what I mean by the revolving door of managers, right? Like you have I don't know. You have, let's just say 20 for a good round number. You have 20 top tier managers, and all they do every year is a shuffle around the various top teams.
Yes.
That's basically
right. And I know that rumor was floating around about Brandon Rodgers. I just find it hard to believe that Leicester, and granted, I know they're sitting at 12th right now, but man, well, okay, money talks, right? So if there's money to go to Man United, sure.
Well, and United still holds a lot of clout when it comes to jobs and the prestige that club has in the terms of their overall history in the game.
But, if you're thinking, can I really stay somewhere and build something, you're probably not going to get canned from Leicester unless you drop real far right now. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
Why do you jump? That's a question.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Why do you make the jump?
Now we're talking managers, and I don't think Ole's fully to blame here, because you look at that. We take it back to the game real quick. Look at the second goal. What the hell are Maguire and Shaw doing? You cannot let that ball get across there and bounce in your box.
No,
that's a very stoppable. Like, that's not Ole. That's the players turning off and thinking that ball's just going to bounce out of bounds. And and Shaw and Maguire in the past 5, 6, 7 games have been complete. They had a great Euros. They've been phenomenal all of last year. Maybe they're just tired. Maybe they're tired of Ole. Maybe they just turned off. Who the hell knows? But that's amateur defending at best, and that's not something that the coach should be sitting there and saying, "Don't turn off." That's basic defending 101. So there's stuff like that. And the last thing I will say, it's not all doom and gloom. Despite all of this over the past, from the second international break to now, so over the course of a few weeks, United have dropped in the table. No surprise. But they are still in 6th, and they still have a +2 goal difference, despite that being scored 7-0 against in 2 games and whatnot. So it's not complete doom and gloom. Now, you don't want to go much further than this. So that's where it is. A lot of clubs, and as we'll talk about here in a bit, have made changes because they don't want to keep going deeper and deeper down the table or in the holes that they're in. And that's where the United job. And something occurred to me today, and something that Ron said earlier in a text or last week about Ed Woodward staying in charge until January. Maybe the grand plan is, why hire a new manager now when Ed Woodward's gone and we bring in in American terms, a GM of sorts? Well, you don't want to hire a manager. That GM comes in, doesn't like that manager. Now you sack that manager, right? You think about it in U.S. sports. Usually the GM and the head coach go hand in hand at a club or a team, whether it's in the NFL, NBA, hockey, MLS. That GM is responsible for hiring the head coach, and they're kind of in it together. If one gets sacked, the other does. So maybe that's the plan, is we wait till January. But can you wait that long? Will you be in 18th at that time? Who the hell
your
knows?
Fans are going to lose their gourd if that's the case.
I mean, that open letter to the Manchester United players from a fan is a pretty powerful.
Yeah, it's kind of making the rounds today. I'm not sure where you can find that. I know you sent that to us, Ferris.
Yeah, I sent a random link, but you're right.
Because it is just kind of, I mean, and like, yeah, I know, like, sometimes people talk a little too much about, like, I mean, club and pride, and it is, yes, but like also, hey, this is a job for these guys too. I mean, it's a cool job, but like, but still, then, like, be professionals. If you're Harry Maguire, you can't be making these mistakes and just letting people, waltz in. It's I mean, you feel like the time. Okay, what you just said about waiting until you get a new, technical manager or kind of GM kind of situation to come in with a new manager. You've waited so long, you kind of maybe should have canned Ole a long time ago.
Yeah, or
and you've now strung it so long. You should have
stuck a little bit longer with the manager that came after Sir Alex.
Is that Van Gaal?
No, if we want to move on from the dreadful,
I just want Van Gaal
United. Back. He was the third. He was the second after
Moyes, right? Yeah, David Moyes.
David Moyes was the next one, so there you go. That's a great segue.
But
David
how many
Moyes.
times was David Moyes fired
Well,
in
yeah.
between
Now,
United
yeah.
Geek and West
Yeah.
Ham?
David
So,
Moyes
come on.
has been, I mean, we've had how many episodes that we said, well, and he was canned this week. But over at West Ham, this gives us an excellent segue to our second. David Moyes and his insatiable West Ham team hand Liverpool their first league loss of the season. And it was a stimulating, I like that word used there, Ferris, 3-2 match played in front of a jubilant London stadium crowd.
That was a fun one to watch. It really was.
West Ham is on fire. Do I think they'll win? No, but boy, would that be a fun Leicester-ish prediction if those dudes had a run that they could hold and literally made a talent challenge for the title.
They really helped Chelsea out. Chelsea drew this week because of one single moment where we switched off.
And you can't do that in Premier League.
Not do that.
No, you can't do that. But it's but yeah, all of a sudden, David. Yeah, but you say that like they helped you, but the same token, they're breathing down your neck too. Like wow,
they're in third, 3 points off the top.
And to be honest, they're the team I fear more than Man City or Liverpool.
Well, and to
be honest,
I play United in a few weeks in the league, and Chelsea aren't very scared about that at the moment.
Right.
I kind of agree with you. I do think Liverpool right now, though, their ability to score is so bonkers that I don't think they'll sit at this spot long before they creep back up. But
their defending this year has not been.
No, they're leaky. They're leaky for sure. I mean, I'm praying be leaky. I mean, if you'd have told me that, in whatever game week this would be, that at this point Arsenal would be having a game against Liverpool where if they won they'd leap them, I'd slap you in the face and say quit lying to me. But they're leaky, so I'm actually going into going, we'll probably lose. If we drew, that'd be great, but they are beatable. They have struggled against,
especially in the current run,
right? And
you can see Klopp is having a really frustrating time right now. He snapped at a reporter.
He does it every time. Like he's wonderful when he wins, but he's absolutely a when he loses a game.
Ferris, do you mean passionate and awesome when he loses?
Well, passionate and awesome different than calling a reporter a puppy.
He said, "I'm not your puppy.
I'm not your
right." He didn't want to. He wasn't going to perform.
Yeah, he said, "I'm not your puppy. I'm not going to be your puppy." He's from Austria now, and he sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger. But he says, "I'm not going to be your puppy."
Put the cookie down.
Put the cookie down.
No, but the reporter asked very valid questions, and there's a different side of Klopp just when he loses. So yes, it's passionate, and believe me, I'm a big fan of Klopp and love him. But
you would rather have
that side of things that kind of gets glossed over.
But
by
wouldn't you?
It's so fun.
Wouldn't you rather have that than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gets interviewed after a loss and is like, I don't know what he said. He said a ton of words that meant nothing.
Said nothing.
Yeah,
well, he did say nothing essentially, but. Can you blame him? I mean, he cares about this club as much as anybody, and he just feels beaten down at this moment. And there was a report that he went back to Norway this week to spend time with family and stuff.
I saw that.
Gave the players like a week off, and they're like, "Why would you do that? Get back to work." I'm thinking, hold on. Maybe
I think it's smart that
maybe they need a break right now.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going back to Norway to take the job as the Norway captain or coach of the national team.
I would not be mad.
Oh my God! What if a manager quit Man United? That'd be hysterical.
It would still come out as they parted ways
amicably. It was no, Ron. What's your famous quote?
Conscious uncoupling.
That's right, conscious uncoupling. Thank you, Gwyneth Paltrow.
But West Ham and David Moyes, what a job they've done. A 3-2 win. Yeah, a little controversy here with some calls that could have gone either way.
Ron and his tiny bladder. I see you running away in that camera to go pee. Man, we're even tightening up the format this week, and you can't even hold it.
Right? But what good. What a strong and awesome person Moyes is. Being touted as the next thing at United by Sir Alex, that lasting a matter of 8 months or something like that. Going to Spain, not doing well. I think he went somewhere else, if I'm not mistaken. Qatar, maybe. I don't remember where the hell he went after that. And back with a West Ham team that he's been with now for a few seasons, but has a wonderful core there, has them playing a good style, has them defensively sound, and they are playing fantastic. And they're going up against anybody, and they're a threat.
They're playing so fun.
Sorry, Blake. Why I said jubilant London Stadium is, for a second, that reminded me of what the atmosphere was like at the Bowling Ground that we would watch at their old stadium.
Yeah. Well, and I also think that they are a London team that, if they can continue to have a couple of years of like really fun playing, compete, obviously if you could win it, that's one thing, but really compete for top spots in the Premier League, they'll get a lot of American fans outside of England, right? You know, and the whole thing about in England, where you're born is what dictates where you're a fan, right? But for these clubs like the Arsenals, Liverpools, the Man United, the Chelseas, Man Cities, they make so much money off of the international fandom, right? And this is an excellent chance for the kind of playing that West Ham's doing to really make a stamp on the international stage if they can maintain this, because they, as you said, are just fun to watch. Like Leicester was a blast the year they won, and while they have been fun, they didn't really maintain that deadliness. They can beat you on any given day, right? But you really haven't had a season where you thought they were going to win the league again, obviously. But West Ham, if they could hold it together for a little bit, it could be interesting to see. I've already got some friends at work that are now West Ham fans because they just got into Premier League this year, and they're watching just all the games as a fan of the sport, and they're gravitating toward West Ham. Can't blame them. They're fun to watch right now.
And you almost hope that they hang on to two of the biggest players in Declan Rice, who is absolutely tremendous for them, and a complete linchpin, as we discussed in the last pod, and Mikel and Antonio.
Yeah.
I think those two, if a Liverpool comes in for him, or a Chelsea, or name any other big club, that, Declan Rice is the only player on their team, in my opinion, that could slot into any club in the Premier League.
I agree with that. So shall we stay in London and move our news to last week following the sacking of Nuno Espirito Santo, which is one of the best names ever.
Oh, yeah.
The Serie A, Premier League, and FA Cup winning manager Antonio Conte returned to the Premier League to take the helm of Tottenham Hotspurs on an 18-month contract. Same thing Tuchel got over at Chelsea. Yep. Spurs back to top 4 this season? That's your question. I don't think so, Ferris. And I'm not knocking the Spurs. I just think the competition's hot up top. I'm not saying that they can't push back in. Top 6, I frustratingly feel more confident in.
Yeah, I think I'm there with you on that.
But
I think top 6,
agree.
Maybe not top 4.
I'm excited to see Antonio Conte back. He did such a good job for Chelsea, and it's good to have Mumbles back in the Premier League.
Our wine drinker, we always said that's what it looked like, right? He'd be hanging out having his wine.
I don't think. I think they would breach the top 6. I don't think they'd get the top 4.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement on that.
Just as long as they're below Arsenal. Happy St. Tottenham's Day needs to come back.
I don't think will happen. I think they will end above Arsenal.
Well, hey, buddy, we got things to believe in right now. They keep dropping down, so we'll see what happens.
But they are going to get a manager bump, right?
Okay, hold on. Maybe, Ron, because there's a £165 million problem, and his name is Harry Kane.
As soon as he finds that scoring boot,
well, he's got to want to play, right?
Lost it somewhere.
Like I saw that comedian that was like, I saw fans leaving the stadium. That's not fair. I didn't get to leave Tottenham. You don't get to leave Tottenham. But like, for one, does Tottenham look like a bunch of idiots for not just making that money and selling him to Man City?
Well, now, yeah.
But because that will be the determination. If he can turn that situation around, then top 6, maybe top 4, potentially possible. if he can't turn around that Harry Kane situation, I think it's going to be a struggle for him. Not his fault. Get rid of him the following year, do something different. Let Conte put a team together. That's a problem. That Harry Kane thing, what a weird way that has gone.
To be honest, I really think that if I were Harry Kane, my feelings would be hurt, right? Because you've done all this to help Tottenham, and then you mutually agree that you're going to leave, and then they take the rug out from under you at the last minute before you actually leave. And so you don't feel particularly wanted by any of the clubs. So what's your...
Yeah.
Your morale is just in the dumps. And you can see that it's affecting the rest of the team as well. So I don't know that the manager, Conte, I don't think he can really fix that, because that's not with a management staff. That's with your GMs and your front office who took the rug out under Harry Kane.
It clearly was not handled well. Obviously, we don't know all the details, but he's not happy. And he wanted to go. And Jack Grealish got all this money to go. And I think Harry Kane thought, he can get that, I can get this. And he could have. And Todd, could you imagine if they had made that money selling Harry Kane for that? And then that, I mean,
look what they did with the money they got from Bale, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
right. And I'm not saying Nuno still would not be sacked, but imagine Conte walking into that situation. I mean, and plus you got a new stadium and but that's also that's the other thing that's crazy. Well, money, because we got this new stadium. Well, dude, sell Harry Kane, but I don't know what the figures are.
Well, they also got a little bit screwed with the pandemic and not having fans in that stadium for a year. They just,
right. There's some unique.
You know the way to make money as a soccer club? Win.
Well, Ron, you know what?
So
you just said it, bro.
What's that?
I said you just said it. That is nothing you can argue. That's true. Win then.
But as kind of a final note, if anybody can get Harry Kane to get back to even a glimpse of the form that we have known Harry Kane to be in the past several seasons, it's Antonio Conte. Look what he did with Lukaku to win the Serie A title. Look what he's done with number 9s that are dynamic. And I think this is a really, really good hiring from Tottenham. And I think Daniel Levy I think he made a quick, swift move that is that in the end is going to prove to be good. It's definitely going to better them.
I don't want to get into the now Man United vortex, but that is, you just said it. Stop the bleeding, make a quick, strong move. I think that's what the fans are looking for out of Man United. That isn't happening. So
we shall see.
We'll see what happens there. Number 4 up on the list, last little whip around the Premier League. Eddie Howe. I love that, Ferris. You've got your Bournemouth jersey on, which is funny because whenever Arsenal would be miserable, I would wear my Bournemouth jersey instead of an Arsenal jersey to the next pod. So I thought it was funny that you were wearing that. Eddie Howe is officially announced as the next manager of Newcastle United, while Daniel Farke, following Norwich's City win in the league, and Dean Smith, on the back of 5 straight losses, become the 4th and 5th managers alike to get the sack this season.
What a crazy managerial.
Yeah. Okay, so Eddie Howe, I'm going to put that to the side a second. So, Villa's guy, why did I just lose his name?
Dean Smith.
Thank you. Oh, it's right in front of the sheet you wrote. I should just look back at that. That one, we don't have to go super in depth. That one just confuses me because while Villa, I know they're in 16th and they're on 10 points and they're struggling a little bit, what he did with them and who the F they're going to get, I don't quite get that one. I
don't get it. I don't get it from the standpoint of there was so much change in the team. Yes, they lost their last 5.
Their talisman.
Grealish goes. Arguably the best player on the team.
Yeah.
Goes. You have injuries abound.
Yep.
And
I don't even feel like the fans. So a lot of fans are like, Ole out, or, and this happens, whatever, right? Wenger out at the end of whatever, his run. I didn't feel like the fans were freaking out about the Villa's manager.
Yeah.
No, and I don't feel like they were, either. And we had put a poll on our Instagram story and Facebook story, and a good friend of the pod, Matt Cole, kind of chimed in. I think everybody's kind of general consensus was it's a bit harsh, right? It's somebody that brought them back up to the Premier League after they went down a few seasons ago. That while you lost your top player, your linchpin, which was Grealish, you spent well. You brought in. You brought in Danny Ings, you brought in some midfield talent, and you brought in some defensive talent there. But why is where I think the board was probably looking at it from, the Villa board was, well, lost the last 5 league games, and do we really know why he sat the new captain and leader at the back, Tyrone Mings, in the last few games?
I don't know.
What was the reasoning of that? That seems odd, and that seems like that may have pissed off some fans and possibly the board. Not only did you lose the last 5, but you think Tyrone Mings is the issue with that, and he's your captain. So that's maybe the flip side of the coin there.
Right. I mean, I know obviously we don't know all the stories, but of all the firings, that seemed. I mean, again, I know they're well below Tottenham. But that seems to make less sense to me than Nuno getting canned. It's weird to me.
Less sense than Norwich.
Yeah. Now, that being said, is Nuno right back in the Premier League coaching Aston Villa? Because that's who I would probably go after.
Or Norwich. I could see him there over I could then.
Well, but at Norwich, he knows he's going down. Speaking of going down, Eddie, how you like that segue? Eddie Howe. Maybe a smart signing for Newcastle United because he fought the Bournemouth Cherries from what do they call it? Administration, which is basically bankruptcy, all the way back up to getting those guys promoted to the Premier League, where they stayed for a few years.
And they stuck around.
Yeah, absolutely. This, I think, is a good signing for Eddie Howe. He makes sense because I think he's a manager that is willing to stay with them when they get relegated to try and then get them back up the following year. I feel like that's what this decision smacks of. I think that's why Unai Emery was like, no, thank you. Like, I'm still inheriting a really bad team.
Especially with the funds that will seemingly be allotted because of the takeover. He should have no problem. But one of the reasons I think this is such a good signing for them is not only what he did with Bournemouth, but working with young talent and playing an attractive style, something that Newcastle has not seen since the Shearer days, and there's some young talent on that team. Now, he has to really, really do a lot of work on the back line.
Do you think he can keep
him okay attacking? You have Callum there, so he's used to playing. He's used to having Callum as a player. He has St. Maxim. There's some talent on that squad. They're going to have to do a lot of investment to improve it, but I think he is the right signing for them.
Now, but the takeover happened, right? I guess that's what could be crazy. In January, could they just unload the buckets of money to try and stop the bleeding?
Yeah, they can.
Maybe, but it's not. I don't think there's very few times has signing in January made that kind of impact.
Well, you've never had. I agree with you, but we have yet to see the kind of money just unleashed on a team. Not that may not happen, but
I don't think that takes place in the January transfer window. I think that takes place that they're going to set up their moves through the season so that in the summer transfer window they can. That would be my opinion.
Right. It's just harder. Right. But if they go down, they can spend money to get good players, not world class because they're not going to play the league down, but like they can get some really good players and get back up. And Eddie Howe's probably a good guy to keep you for a bit. The fans will probably like him. I mean, look, if they get relegated, I don't think they're going to hate him because I think they're expecting it. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not. If he fights the good fight and they still go down, I don't think he'll become a pariah. There is what I mean.
Yeah, but also they could get that manager bump. They could make some good moves in the January transfer window, and they can escape relegation.
I mean, maybe Ron. It's just that I feel like Villa. I'm not going to speak about Watford necessarily, but I feel like Villa, Leeds, and Brentford stand the ability to score just enough to make it hard to leap up.
I don't know. I think they could swap out for Watford in a heartbeat.
Do you want to bet a drink on it?
No.
I'm just trying to get Ron in on a bet. What's going to happen?
He's not.
It's going to one day, Ferris. It's going to be the crack like happened with you. You're like, I'll bet you with this because I didn't do that. That was you. So it's going to come.
Look, I think the key to Eddie Howe keeping scoring moving on Newcastle is in John Joe Shelby, Callum Wilson, and Almiron.
Yeah.
Right?
You get maximum.
You get those. What's that?
And Saint.
Well, yeah. But
you get those people communicating. You get them the ball. You're going to be able to create some. Like Almiron's got speed and cleverness, right? I mean, we saw him when he was on Atlanta United, right? If he's got the right people around him, he's going to be great.
Well, I don't want to go too long. So I know we want to take a break into some Ron's beer news before we move over to wrap up on MLS and NWSL. But to just counter that, Ron, to play the devil's advocate, one thing we discussed prior to this Eddie Howe acquisition was one of the struggles that any new manager was going to have post Steve Bruce was these players with the ownership that just came in know they're all probably gone.
I don't know. I think they're right now that they're auditioning for their jobs.
Yeah, but with that money, like with the way the people,
a large part of that squad's gone.
Yeah,
I see
an enormous part of that squad.
If they stay up,
they're still
gone.
I
bet you 90% of them are gone.
I think either way,
if they go down, I don't think
no. I will totally bet you the Move Thunder on that. If they stay up, that's still going to be most of that team still going to be gone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If they stay up, most of that team's gone. If they go down, like you said earlier, I don't think they're going to splash the cash around. I think they're going to make a team that gets them back to the Premier League, and then they're going to spend the money.
Yeah. I think that's the problem that Eddie Howe's facing and that's why I think the fans, that's why I say I especially don't think that he'll be a pariah if they were to still go down, because it is going to be hard to get the players, and he's a guy that maybe could do it. Again, if he can rally the troops, but knowing that I mean, they all have to be going, where do I, talking to managers and talking to agents, where do you think I could go next? Right, because they know this is
but
done.
Also Cristiano Ronaldo is doing the same thing.
Well, right, he is the star of next year's Newcastle United if they stay.
God Almighty!
It'll be Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi leading the charge at Newcastle United. It'll be the new most popular thing ever, with Harry Kane as their striker.
God, that would be so funny.
Again, I think I mentioned this last episode. The thing that really grosses me out, the way people, all the pundits are talking about, not like, oh, this is crazy, but like, yeah, well, and then like next year, if they stay up, your top 6 is probably going to be Newcastle. And you're like, the fact that like, you're just saying it because of the money, it's true, is so gross. So yeah, it's just, it's gross. Anyway. If that wraps us up for the Premier League news, God bless, guys. I got the booster shot and a flu shot yesterday, and it's messing my brain up. The words don't want to come out.
I got my second Pfizer tonight, earlier.
Right.
So now I'm.
Oh,
now
you
I've
did
4 shots.
Oh,
total.
so you and me are both. So you and me are both on the COVID hangover from the shot.
Get my booster.
Actually, my flu shot arm is actually more sore than the booster one. But let's get over to little Ron's beer news. Ron said he has some beer news before we move on to the I got to say the NWMLS, the MLS and NWSL.
Well, it
playoffs.
can't be any worse than www.mlssoccer.
Yep.
MLS soccer. Like, yeah.
Major League Soccer.com.
Exactly. Whatever. Anyway.
So, gentlemen, I'd like you to keep today in the back of your minds as we go forward into the following year, the upcoming year. That's what I'm trying to say.
Wait, is this starting? Are you doing this now?
I'm doing the beer news.
Welcome to Ron's Beer News, a podcast interlude on the Brewtiful Game. There we go.
God, we
that's
have a
awesome.
massive budget here at the Brewtiful
Yeah, man.
Game.
I was supposed to be applause, not people laughing at you. Sorry. It's supposed to be this. Ron, go Ron. That's what it's supposed to be.
Oh, thanks. I feel better. Less like Harry Kane, more like
that was my favorite tweet. I think it was from Gunner blog or ours blog. Like they are booing Harry Kane in the stadium. My nipples are so hard.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Okay, so keep this time in your minds as we go forward into the rest of the beer timeline next year, because we are at the precipice of a brand new beer style in the beer world.
Ooh.
Boom, boom.
You can tell.
All right, hold on to your hats, kids. The cold IPA.
Like a nitro?
All right, hold on. Wait. Ron, can we play a game?
Okay, yes.
Ferris, you and I have to guess what that means.
Okay, so I think it's a like a nitro cold brew IPA. That seems to be all like the stouts that way and stuff. Yeah.
So a cold IPA. I'm gonna say. So ale's ferment at a higher temperature. If you did it lower, it's a lager. So that'd be like an Indian Pale lager. So it's not. I don't think it's the fermentation. Is it like a cold process that makes it really hazy, kind of like a New England?
What they
IPA?
did to Han Solo?
The carbonite process.
Carbonite.
Is it
that cold?
It's brewed in carbonite.
Is there? I'm trying to think what you would make cold, because you can't ferment it colder. That becomes a lager. Beer brewing nerds. It's like, all right. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go. There's some kind of cold process that ends up making a very hazy looking IPA. That's going to be my.
Okay. Well, by the definition, you are both wrong.
Hey.
Blake, you're much closer than Ferris.
Damn.
Ferris is, light years away.
That's fine.
No problem. So a cold IPA is basically a steam beer.
Oh, so it is like a lager.
So they
Like
are using bottom fermenting lager yeast, and they are brewing it and using it at they're fermenting it at a higher temperature, around 65 degrees, not in the upper 40s to middle 50s like you put a lager. Can we
do for those playing at home, if you're unfamiliar, an ale and a lager, one of the big differences during the fermentation process, a lager is colder, as Ron said, around 40 to 50 degrees, somewhere in there.
Right.
Whereas
45 to 55.
An ale tends to be what you'd call room temperature, which sure is not room temperature here in Florida, but I guess it is if you keep the AC low, but it's around 72, something like that, 70 degrees.
Right. Up to 75.
And so then a steam lager, correct me if I'm wrong, a steam beer becomes, you did a lager with a bottom fermenting yeast, but you did it at the higher temperature of like you would an ale. Is that right?
That is correct.
Boom. All right. Yeah, I'm remembering.
So they're calling it a cold IPA because they would use yeast that likes colder temperatures.
But they're still fermenting it at
steam beer. They're fermenting it at 65 degrees, which is warmer than the yeast would normally.
But a little cooler than you typically do an ale.
Correct.
Most places tend to go between 70 and 75. Okay.
Right.
All right.
So now here's the golden here's the golden ticket question, gentlemen, for a all expenses paid trip to Willy Wonka's.
Hey.
Why are they trying? What are they trying to do at keeping the lager yeast at 65 degrees?
Okay.
In the fermentation
I'm going to try
process.
to talk this out loud because I know, Ferris, you got to noodle around with some of the guys too at Big Storm. So if the lager bottom feeding yeast is normally better at a colder temperature, I would assume it's more active where the temperature it wants to be. If you're keeping it a little bit higher, it's a little less active. Is this a way to make a lower alcohol grade IPA?
Nope. What?
Dang it.
Nope.
All right. That was my guess.
They've already done that. They have sessions.
Well, yeah, they have sessions, but I just didn't know if this would be a more full flavored,
what I think
low
it does,
alcohol.
I think it. I don't know how I'm going to say this. I think it amplifies the yeast to have a better balance with hops that you're later going to add.
Oh man, Ferris is so close.
Ooh.
Hey, Willy Wonka, here I come.
So you didn't win, but
Damn it!
The idea is that when you are fermenting lager yeast at a lower temperature, you are expecting slightly fruitier esters to come out of that yeast to help give your lager a more full flavor. The IPAs don't want that, or these cold IPAs don't want any of those fruity esters, so they ferment it hotter so that the yeast will not produce those flavors. Otherwise, you would be an Indian Pale Lager.
Right. Which
right?
is a style you can
Indian
get.
Pale Lagers are IPAs that are fermented with lagers at cold temperatures, where everything is a little more, the flavors are a little more fruity, and you wouldn't taste the hops very much. So here they're brewing it warmer, so they keep the fruity esters to a minimum, so that they can showcase the hop profile.
I knew it had something to do with
in
that.
the beer.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
All right.
So go home, do your research on cold IPAs.
And when is it slated that we might start to see some?
So you are going to start seeing some on like apps like Travor and some of the beer order ones. Unless you go to Wayfinder, the brewery Wayfinder, who invented the style. You're not really going to see very much on taps quite yet, but it is slowly catching on.
Maybe some experiments.
See if it explodes like New England IPAs did. Those blew up everywhere.
Those did blow up everywhere.
Yeah, and like juicy IPAs and hazy IPAs.
You know what? I'm down for this because, to be honest, not because I don't like them, but the initial wave was very because we've been doing the craft brew thing for a while. Was like hop because we didn't do hop heavy stuff in America. So we that's what we gravitated to because it was so different. And then like we've gone through the darker beers. Then, hey, can you just make a good straight up lager, like, and kind of almost, but like with fresh ingredients. So it's kind of interesting to get the hops back in the equation again now,
the lager rest process.
As we cycled through something different. That's cool. Well, that's good beer news, Ron.
And last quiz game show moment. The chemical that is responsible for the fruity estery taste in lager yeast, who knows what chemical that is?
G13 classified.
Chemical that makes the flavor?
Yeah.
I'm going to be really annoyed to not know this because it's what makes like when you get like the banana nut bread wheat beers, there's no banana in it, but the esters give it the smell of like a banana.
Right. Yes.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's going to make me mad when you say it though, because I feel like I should know what that is.
Ferris?
I just know. Omega something.
Not even close.
Glutamine hydrosorbonate.
Hey, great. I love it.
Glutenin. That almost sounded real.
You sounded, I believe the hell. I was like, look at Flake over here.
It's much more simple than that. It's sulfur dioxide.
Okay. Oh, of course. Oh, duh.
Oh, that old thing?
Yeah. You know what? I realized I didn't even look over my shoulder at my periodic table. I should have realized that.
Oh, it's true.
Oh, it wouldn't be on the periodic table.
Shut up. I know that. I don't have a periodic table on my wall either.
And that's your beer news. Go home, do some research on cold IPAs.
That's rad. That's a good one. Well, let's wrap up with some little domestic league stuff. I keep wanting to say NWMLS, MLS and NWL. God bless America, MLS and W. I'm done. Guy, what are we talking about? It's your turn, Ferris.
MLS and NWSL playoffs, both of which are going on currently in this country.
What is wrong with me? Thank you. Both happening in the United States of America. You might have heard of the place. It's a little weird right now. Playoff picture is finally set following a riveting decision day yesterday for the MLS. The brackets right now, round one, New England's got a bye. New York City against Atlanta. That should be fun. We have Nashville versus Orlando, as we just qualified over here in the Purple City. Philadelphia, New York. And then over.
It's to be noted this year the first team in the league has a bye, as it's 7 teams that make the playoff.
Is correct. So out west we've got Colorado having the bye, and then we have Portland versus Minnesota, and then we have Kansas City versus Vancouver, and Seattle versus Salt Lake. I'm not gonna lie, the East game lineups are more exciting to me.
The only thing I will say is somebody, I don't want to say who, but their Colorado Rapids won the West on decision day, get a first round bye, and somebody put a $50 donation with a sports book that would pay out $2,000 and some if they win the championship. They weren't even slated to make the playoffs. The odds were like plus. I'll tell you here in a second, because I might actually cash out the bet. But besides the point, the odds on that were absolutely insane at plus 4,000.
That's bonkers. Only a little.
They haven't won yet, but to get a first round bye in a division that has Seattle, Sporting, Portland, and get first at the end of the season and get a huge bye and home field advantage throughout.
And a club that we didn't even talk about for a couple of years because they just faded off into existence. That's impressive.
But a very solid team. Very, very. Kellen Acosta's there. Jonathan Lewis. The head coach, the name's going to evade me now, but they've done a really, really well job, put together a fantastic season. So I hope they can carry that in. That's my team in the West, and there's a bracket challenge that I think we'll all participate in if we can share it on.
Yeah, let's do that. And
our Twitter, we can pick away.
And we'll see how bad our predictions are.
Because our predictions, I think, were terrible for the MLS.
I'm looking at this right now.
Looking at them right now.
Yeah, I'm like, I think our predictions are pretty bad. I can never usually remember, but I'm like, those are pretty bad. So from there, we head over to the NWSL playoffs. They are under, as yesterday the Chicago Red Stars knocked out retiring Carly Lloyd's New Jersey, New York Gotham FC. They knocked them out behind a Mallory Pugh in the 61st minute a goal by Mallory Pugh. In the later match, it was Washington Spirit who knocked out the powerhouse North Carolina Courage 1-0, but in extra time as the Golden Boot winner, Ashley Hatch put the Spirit ahead in the 114th. What a game. While Washington keeper was player of the match as she made 8 saves. And kept a clean sheet to help her side move on to the quarterfinals.
Aubrey Bledsoe,
former Pride keeper.
That's right. And
a national team player.
Mm-hmm. Our brackets are we had the Red Stars against NY and New Jersey Gotham. Red Stars move on. They'll be against Portland. And then we had the Spirit against Courage. Spirit moved on, and they are going to be against the Reign.
Was anyone expecting the Spirit to beat the Courage? I was not.
No.
Well, as I'm looking at our predictions currently, one thing we forgot, because I'm an idiot, is it was open to 6 teams this year opposed to the traditional 4 teams because we had the addition of some clubs. But
to be fair, domestic American soccer has kept changing their playoff things on us for the last couple of years, and it's getting a little
because they keep
confusing.
adding teams.
Yeah. It gets a little confusing.
One of the things is currently who wins the championship. All of us are still in the running, as Blake had Portland. Ron, you had the Thorns as well. I'm the only one that had the Washington Spirit.
Interesting.
But the one time that I didn't pick Ashley Hatch for the Golden Boot, she gets the damn Golden Boot.
Right.
I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me! I think I picked her like 2 years in a row, and then she finally gets it because she's absolutely one of my favorite players, and she's had a tremendous year. Good for the Spirit. They would not have been able to win behind those saves, and a back and forth game. Mallory Pugh's been very dynamic for the Red Stars. They played the Pride the last game of the season. We got to see Mallory Pugh. Gosh, she tore up our young right back. But you got some good matchups here. The only thing I'm going to throw a little fest at is the final. Like that big championship they're supposed to have. Guess what time that's played at?
It's probably going to be like 4 o'clock.
I'm trying to read because this font
even
is
better.
Itty bitty. Does that Saturday, November 20th at noon? God, that does say noon.
That's noon Eastern time, by the way. Guess what time that is when? I don't know, because the game's being played in Portland this year. Guess what time that's at?
3.
Well, no, it's at
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
You got to go the other way.
What?
Because they're being played in Portland.
Oh, sorry.
I believe it's being played in Portland this year.
Why
regardless if they make it or whatnot, but a 9:30 a.m. game or a 9 a.m. game on the West Coast, a noon game here on the East Coast. What absolute bullshit from the NWSL.
Wait, no.
Yeah.
The East is 3 hours ahead.
I know, Ron.
Correct.
If it's at noon.
Portland's on the West Coast. They're 3 hours behind. 9:30 a.m. or 9 a.m.
No.
Yes.
The East Coast, this says Eastern time, right on it.
At noon.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I totally misunderstood you. It's 9 a.m. in the morning their time.
Ron, you are not in Beijing anymore.
I thought
if you could figure out your time difference there.
I'm like, wait, was Ron trying to mind me? Because I am. If you I'm like, hold on, I'm not an idiot here. I'm glad you were following me.
I thought you were saying it was a noon local time, and you were trying to say it's 9 a.m. Eastern. No.
It's noon local time here in Orlando, Florida, on the East Coast.
Gotcha.
It's for the national. Or
I get it now.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
That is absolutely
my bad.
Terrible from the NWSL amongst, and we have not covered this on the pod, and we could have a whole separate pod on the Paul Riley and sexual misconducts and those type of things that have occurred in the league and under some ownership groups. And Washington Spirit have been a bit of a mess in terms of that as well with their ownership groups. So I'm very proud of the league. I'm very happy of the league that they're continuing to push forward and hopefully build better systems of reporting, to build better teams, to continue this league. And I was very worried there for a bit that some of these things may down the league if things go sideways and lawsuits start happening and this, that, and the other. And the league has folded before. This is the longest women's professional league that I think has played. So I think with, Kansas City announced its first and only women's soccer stadium that they're going to build, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, cool.
That I'm very confident that the league will continue to build and grow. And it's honestly what, if you're a football fan at all, regardless of your teams that you like or whatnot, this is a league that you want to see succeed. And I'm glad that they're pushing forward with this. And hopefully we get ourselves, I wish it was more justice than playing a Saturday at 9:30 a.m. on the West Coast and 12:30 p.m. on the East Coast. That's a little shambolic for
yeah. That's hopefully get a little bit of attention about how stupid that is.
The players weren't too happy as well. If you followed any of them on Twitter when that was announced, it was they are like, wow, hey, thanks.
But
for all that we put in the season, you're going to put it at this time slot.
Where do you think that you put it? And the reason I say that, I'm in no way saying that this was the right schedule, but where do you put it when college football gets a giant market share of a Saturday? If you put it on a Sunday, anywhere from 1 to 9 o'clock at night, you're screwed by the NFL. Where do you think it fits in the current sports schedule of November?
Well, Tuesday
to be honest,
if you're doing it now, if you're doing it in November, a Tuesday at
you're spot on, dude. A Tuesday at 8 p.m. is less insulting than a noon on Saturday or 9:30 a.m. on the West Coast.
Because you're not competing with anything, right? You're not competing. Well, you're competing with the NBA at this point, and
NHL.
NHL. But those two sports don't come anywhere near what the NFL is on Monday, Thursday, Sundays, and what college is on actually Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday now, right? Because you have MAC action on Wednesday, you have like a college game on Thursday, and then a few games on Friday, and then the main slate on Saturday. So for me, it'd be a Tuesday.
Seriously,
if you're playing it in November, in the middle of November. Now, maybe they're doing it because they don't want to compete with the MLS playoffs that will start in that like November 22nd through 23rd range.
Yeah, but regardless
you
of
work
that,
with the league and you plan it out.
Yeah, you plan it out, and I mean, look, the World Series, the Stanley Cup, those are multiple games. They happen on weird days of the week. Like, just do it. Just take it, own it. Take a day that quote unquote sucks and say that's ours and make something about it. You know what I mean? That's such a weird. Yeah, that's just crappy.
I really think I think the only 2 days of the week that you have are Tuesday or Wednesday.
Sounds good to me. Right? That's better than this.
Monday's owned by Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
Every other day is taken by some sport who owns the market share on that day.
Or, guys, we got to wrap up here. But American football moves to the international calendar. I will never give this up. But
the only problem I have with that, because I was thinking the exact same thing, Blake. Actually,
tell me what problem you have.
The only thing I have with that though is your final is going to be in May. You have NBA playoffs starting.
Better than competing against football. That is all better than competing against football, American football.
I mean, yeah, especially in November when you have pretty much every major sports going. Now, the only thing I will say is maybe you do a hybrid of that and you end sometime in like July.
Ferris,
when
come with me,
Arizona Diamondbacks are playing the Padres. Like, no one gives a shit. Sorry, but
join me in the international calendar, love, dude.
I'm not quite there yet.
Come on, man.
I'm not quite there yet.
Do it.
I'm inching closer.
Yeah. Inching closer. Make things a whole lot better. All right. Well, we're just real quick. I just want to mention the beers we had before we wrap up here at the end of the episode. Again, I have the Once More Unto the Breach from Tactical Brewing, the Double New England IPA. What'd you guys have?
We had the Hurricane Hunter New Zealand IPA from Big Storm Brewing.
Booyah. Perfect. This is fun, guys. I like trying this little new format, keeping things tighter. I think it works. It was good to chat with y'all. Thanks for making it work with my weird work schedule tonight.
Oh, thank you for just making it work. You know, you've been slammed.
Much appreciated. All right, Jens, I think it wraps us up. And folks, if you're listening, follow us on Untapped. I think that's the most fun place to follow us, to be honest, to share the beers that we're all having. And then, Twitter, Facebook, all that jazz and stuff as well. Website's thebrewtifulgame.com. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts, and send us a screen grab of it. Either thebrewtifulgame@gmail.com or through Twitter or Facebook, whatever, on a private message. And we'll try to get a koozie or a magnet or something out to you as a way to say thank you. All right, gents, you got anything else?
That's it.
All right. Well, guys, that only leaves one thing.
Oh, Lord.
For me to bring up some random news at the end of the day. So you guys know medical marijuana got made legal here in Florida, but it's still weird about like how and when it's acquired. They're still working those details out. But this is a weird loophole. It is easy to go ahead and get Get marijuana if from like a dispensary if you don't do it, but your mother gets it. You can't get it, but your mother can. Not your father. They have to go to a place called the Edible Complex.
I mean, well done. Well done. You're an ass, but well done. Wow.
I always know they're good.
That's like theater nerd 101, dude.
Yeah, there you go. That was a deep cut for you Greek dramatists out there. Wow. Ferris still has his hands buried in his eyes, or eyes buried in his hands. I love it. That's how I know it's success. All right. Here we go, gents. Love the beer. Cherish the game. The Brewtiful Game.